Marc Cucurella. Marc Cucurella joined Chelsea on a 6-year contract in August 2022. The versatile defender arrives just weeks after his 24th birthday following an impressive debut season in the Premier League with Brighton, during which he made 38 appearances in all competitions and scored his only goal in the Premier League. Application phase at home with Manchester United. Marc Cucurella made his Chelsea debut as a substitute in their opening day victory over Everton, immediately impressing new fans using his strength and passing ability. He started our next match, a 2-2 draw with Tottenham, taking the corner from which countryman Kalidou Koulibaly volleyed home the lead. And it was his scissor strike. It was created by Christian Romero, creating a dramatic final for the derby, playing between the roles of left back and left centre. Cucurella was a mainstay in their defence heading into the World Cup break. He was suffering from severe arthritis at the end of September, and Graham Potter, his former boss at Brighton who is now in charge of the Blues, explained that was one of the reasons why the Spaniard was withdrawn early in 3 consecutive matches in the National Championship. October, until a muscle injury cut his season short in mid-April. Cucurella was a fairly regular member of Potter's Chelsea squad when the domestic competition resumed after Christmas. His best individual performance came in the 2-0 home win over Borussia Dortmund when he was a force to be reckoned with and was a threat going forward. Close Brighton was elected as the best player of the season. And teammates, in particular, his energetic displays, tough tackles and transitions from the wing caught the eye, while his 2-footed ability and solidity on the ball were notable. Key features of Brighton's possession-based approach as they claimed their best ever set piece. Only 3 players registered more than his 93 tackles in the Premier League in the 2021-22 season. Before moving to the South Coast, the Catalan grew up playing football in his native Spain, where he rose through the ranks at Espanyol before joining Barcelona at the age of 14. He played out 3 seasons in La Liga, initially on loan at Eibar and Getafe, before joining them on a permanent basis in the summer of 2020. He spent most of his time in Spain at home. Game as left midfielder in front of his defence. The game was developed under Graham Potter at the Amex Stadium, international career. The Spaniard made his senior international debut as captain of the youth team in the summer of 2021, in a pre-Euro 2020 friendly against Lithuania and won a silver medal at the Tokyo Olympics next month with the U23 team. Benoit Badiashile. Benoit Badiashile completed a permanent transfer to Chelsea from Monaco in January 2023, signing a 7.5-year contract at Stamford Bridge. At 6 feet 4 inches, Badiashile is an air-dominant defender but equally comfortable with the ball at his feet, capable of making short passes from the back or switching play with long diagonal passes. His quick pace is a key attribute and he has experience in both the back 4 and back 3 at club level. Badiashile has had a positive start to life in England, helping us keep clean sheets in his first 3 appearances against Crystal Palace, Liverpool and Fulham. He even almost scored the decisive goal at Anfield, but was only prevented by Alisson's excellent save. Badiashile was restricted to 3 appearances in April and May following the departure of Graham Potter, suffering a serious hamstring injury in training before our trip to Manchester City. However, before that he had his first goal to celebrate for Chelsea, a beautiful volley in the win over Bournemouth. Badiashile has had a positive start to life in England, helping us keep clean sheets in his first 3 appearances against Crystal Palace, Liverpool and Fulham. He even almost scored the decisive goal at Anfield, but was only prevented by Alisson's excellent save. Badiashile was restricted to 3 appearances in April and May following the departure of Graham Potter, suffering a serious hamstring injury in training before our trip to Manchester City. However, before that he had his first goal to celebrate for Chelsea, a beautiful volley in the win over Bournemouth. Nowhere has the pace of his progression to the first team been more evident than in Europe, where he started the group stage as captain of the under-19 team in the Youth League before starting the final 2 matches in the Champions League group stage against Atletico Madrid and Borussia Dortmund. With his League One and Champions League debuts under his belt, the defender has made a total of 25 appearances in his first season with the national team as Monaco fight an unlikely battle to survive in the Premier League. Scored his first goal with a 1-1 equaliser. Draw at home against Nice, after helping France reach the semi-finals of the European Under-19 Championship. Badiashile began his first full senior football campaign as part of an improving Monaco side in the 2019-20 season. Although the season was ended early due to the COVID-19 pandemic, with the mid-table Principality team, he made 20 appearances in all competitions. However, he had a smooth start to the 2020-21 season as French football returned, scoring in both of Monaco's opening League One matches, equalising as they came back from 2 behind. Losing goal against Reims before scoring the only goal against Reims. Victory at Metz. He featured in all but 3 of Monaco's matches as they rose to the top of the table to finish in 3rd place, just 5 points behind champions Lille, in addition to making for more appearances in the Coupe de France. Including a 0-2 loss to Paris Saint-Germain in the final. Even though he is only 20 years old, Badiashile has certainly become a key figure for the Monaco team as of the start of last season, playing 34 matches despite missing the best 3 months due to a hamstring injury and COVID. He scored his only goal of the 2021-22 season in a 2-2 draw with Lens on the final day as they secured a second consecutive top 3 finish. He continued his impressive form into the 2022-23 season, scoring twice in 16 appearances for Monaco before joining Chelsea in January. International career. Having represented France at youth level, starting with the U16 team, Badiashile made his debut for the national team shortly before completing his move to Chelsea, following his increasingly impressive form for Monaco throughout 2023. He was handed his debut by French coach Didier Deschamps in September, playing the full 90 minutes in a 2-0 win for Monaco. UEFA Nations League against Austria in Paris. He earned a second cap, also from the start, in Les Bleus' final match of the Nations League campaign away in Denmark 3 days later. It took until early November 2023 for Badiashile to return from the hamstring injury that ended last season, but he returned in style, scoring the opener with a neat shot in the Carabao Cup win before Blackburn. Thiago Silva. Chelsea completed the signing of one of the biggest names in world football in August 2020. With Thiago Silva joining on an initial 1-year deal, which was later extended several times. Thiago Silva has long been acknowledged as one of the world's best and most successful defenders, having won silverware in Brazil, Italy, France, now England, and at international level, to name a few. Long personal titles, in addition to being blessed with speed and power that made him a formidable opponent on the ground and in the air. Affectionately nicknamed the Monster by the Brazilian and French press, he also had the poise, calm and technical ability to play from centre-back and rich experience at the highest level of football. He was captain of Chelsea, Paris Saint-Germain, AC Milan, and the Brazilian national team. By his own admission, Thiago Silva's getting used to Premier League football was very difficult. As captain, he made a personal mistake as West Brom were unexpectedly 3-0 up before half-time in our 3rd game of the season, before we fought back to win. Equalised 3-3, however, that was more or less the only foot he misplaced all season. We conceded just twice in his next 9 appearances in the Premier League and Champions League, with Thiago regularly captaining the team and even threatening in front of goal, scoring an impressive header against Sheffield United and West Ham United. A difficult winter period ended when former PSG boss Thomas Tuchel replaced Frank Lampard. After 2 clean sheets in Tuchel's first 2 games, Thiago Silva suffered a thigh injury in the 3rd when we were leading 1-0 against Spurs. It kept him out of action until April, when his return was marred by 2 consecutive yellow cards against an unlikely West Brom side. He soon returned to the squad and regained his best form, especially in the crucial 1-0 win over West Ham, and then in both legs of the Champions League semi-final against Real Madrid. His possession and control of the ball as well as his ability to read the game stand out when it matters most. The final match against Manchester City in Porto, a city that has meant so much to Thiago Silva from his time playing there, started heartbreakingly as he had to be substituted just before Kai Havertz's goal. A groin injury may have ended his time early, but that didn't stop him from celebrating a famous victory at the final whistle. After many failed attempts to win this competition during his years in Italy and France, he succeeded the first time he applied for a job in England. He declared it a career highlight, and shortly afterwards his contract with Chelsea was extended for another year. After returning late from the Copa America and missing much of pre-season, Thiago Silva started the campaign with the substitutes as he reached peak fitness, making his first appearance since bench at half-time after we were reduced to 10 men. Against Liverpool, helping the team maintain a 1-1 draw at Anfield, a few weeks later, the Brazilian scored his first goal of the season with a header from a corner in a 3-0 win over Tottenham, a feat he would repeat with a similar strike against Tottenham against that opponent in the second leg at Stamford Bridge, ensuring he would get his first goal of the season. His popularity with Blues supporters by scoring home and away against our London rivals in the same season. Once he reached full fitness, Thiago Silva continued to rely on his formative years as an authoritative and calm presence at the heart of Tuchel's familiar back three, as has been proved in Abu Dhabi during the FIFA Club World Cup, when he added the Golden Ball award to the tournament's best player winning medal after playing every minute as we lifted the trophy for the first time. When they hosted Tottenham in January 2022, Thiago Silva became the oldest Chelsea player to score in the Premier League, aged 37 years and 123 days. Our previous oldest was Didier Drogba. He passed another similar lamp post against Arsenal at home in April of the season, becoming our biggest outfield player in the Premier League. The Brazilian signed a one-year contract to keep him at the club until the summer of 2023. Evergreen Thiago Silva has completed the most Premier League goal kicks for the Blues in 2021-22, 95, 8 more than Antonio Rudiger, despite making 6 fewer appearances than the German. He also made 2,622 tackles, the most of any Blues player in the Premier League this season. He scored home and away goals against Tottenham and headed another goal in the London derby against West Ham. In total he has made 48 appearances for Chelsea in the 2021-22 season, and only 2 other outfield players have appeared more regularly. Thiago Silva continues to show his class despite the team's difficult start to the season. Up to November's World Cup break, where he captained Brazil, no Chelsea player had made more tackles, or stopped defenders after this old spell. In October, he made an emotional return to the San Siro as they beat old club AC Milan 2-0. Coincidentally indeed, he helped them keep a clean sheet on their 100th pitch for the 100th time in the Champions League. Other individual performances include outstanding assists in consecutive league matches following the departure of Thomas Tuchel and the arrival of Graham Potter. Thiago assisted Ben Chilwell's equalising goal against West Ham, then did well to score Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's first goal for the club after a set-piece problem at Selhurst Park, after the World Cup, when Brazil were painfully eliminated on penalties in the quarter-finals. Thiago played the full 90 minutes of our next 8 matches. A knee problem at Tottenham kept him out for 6 weeks, but he returned to the captaincy for us in the Champions League quarter-final against Real Madrid. Thiago's form in the final weeks of the season may not have reached the same heights as at the beginning of the season, but there is no doubt that he is still our outstanding performer in the 2022 season 23. He deservedly received recognition from fans and teammates alike, being named Chelsea Player of the Year and 2023 Footballer of the Year, 2023-24. Thiago Silva once again started the new season as first choice in defence, and when he scored a header in a dramatic 4-4 home draw with Manchester City in November 2023, at the age of 39, 51 days. He became Chelsea's greatest player ever. goalscorer, surpassing Dick Spence at 38 years and 282 days when he scored against Wolves on the 26th of April, 1947. In the next match, away at Newcastle, he became the oldest midfielder to play for Chelsea, again taking that record from Spence. Before Chelsea, all of Thiago Silva's best qualities were present when he helped Paris Saint-Germain reach the Champions League final for the first time in the 2019-20 season. He received further praise when he led a heroic defense against Bayern Munich in his final match for PSG and became the first Brazilian to captain a team in a Champions League final. Chelsea fans are familiar with Thiago Silva's talents from their regular matches against Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League, especially in the round of 16 tie in 2015 when he shadowed Diego Costa during the match. Like going to France and then heading the winning goal in extra time at Stamford Bridge, competitive events often bring out the best in him. In addition, the performance was impressive in the journey to help PSG reach the final round in 2020. When he became the first Brazilian player to captain a team in the Champions League final, scoring a goal. In his debut for them in the 4-1 group stage win over Dynamo Kiev and his performance against Barcelona in 2013, then coach Carlo Ancelotti and Brazilian legend Ronaldo invited him to win the ball yellow. Despite missing out on a Champions League winner's medal in his last match, Thiago Silva left Paris Saint-Germain to become a proven champion for the fourth time. A key member of the team that won an incredible 23 titles during his 8 years there. That included a clean sweep of domestic silverware in 2019-20 and winning the Ligue 1 title in all but one of his campaigns in the French capital. No player has won Ligue 1 more times than Thiago Silva's 7, with victory in his final season in France matching a personal record that has stood since the 1960s. He is also named in the Squad their year in Ligue 1 7 times and UEFA's squad twice in the Parc des Princes. However, despite all his success, he is still someone who comes at the highest level of the game. He began his career in the Brazilian amateur leagues before turning professional with regional 3rd division side RS Futebol as a teenager. His performances in midfield as they gained promotion earned him a move to the top flight with Juventude at the age of 20. Where a switch to centre-back brought him to the attention of several forums. Icon Screen, Europe soon came calling and he signed for Porto in 2004, but it turned out to be a false start. After a year adapting to the new continent with the Portuguese football team B team, he arrived at Dynamo Moscow, but missed the entire season after being hospitalized for a life-threatening home stay in Russia. Despite fearing early retirement, Thiago Silva has been offered a return to Brazil with his hometown team Fluminense, where he had a trial as a youth player. There, he fully recovered to repay their faith in him by helping them win their first Copa do Brasil. His performances in 3 years back in Rio de Janeiro saw him break into the national team and be voted the best player of the tournament by fans, before his second performance at the club. European Rock in 2009. This time there was no setback as he immediately became a key player in the AC Milan defense, with club legends Paolo Maldini and Franco Baresi naming him as their natural plan. He proved them right when he became the first foreigner to captain the club in 50 years and starred as they won the Serie A title in 2011. International career. During his time at Milan, Thiago Silva became a regular starter for the Brazilian national team and was named national team captain shortly after their Serie A title. That means he wore the captain's armband when Brazil won the 2013 Confederations Cup with the symbolic seal. He was captain again when they played in the following year's World Cup on home soil and scored in the quarter-final victory over Colombia, but was suspended when they were beaten by Germany in the semi-finals, with many citing his absence. His face is the main character causing heavy failure. Although no longer captain, Thiago Silva was again a key player for Brazil as they won the Copa America at the Maracanã in 2019, and he has been reinstated as captain for Brazil's next international tournament. Them another Copa America at home in 2021, Brazil kept 3 clean sheets and only allowed 1 goal at a rate of 100% in 4 matches. Thiago Silva played on the way to the final round, after being rested for 2 group rounds. But he could not stop his country from taking the lead. 1 desk. -0 defeat to Argentina in the final. The defender made his 100th appearance for the Selecao in October 2021, on the reserve ice in a 0-0 draw away to Colombia. He continued to be a regular starter as Brazil comfortably qualified for the World Cup. Thiago Silva led Brazil to an iconic start in Qatar, keeping consecutive clean sheets in wins over Serbia and Switzerland, securing the performance for the next knockout in 1 game before delivering a stunning assist. Great for the 3rd goal of the match. Easy 4-1 victory over Korea. However, their progress was halted in the quarter-finals due to a painful penalty shootout defeat to Croatia.